Hi all, this is Shweta Reddy, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering from R.M.K College of Engineering and Technology. Today, in wireless communication, we are going to see some introduction and also the basic terms what and all used in wireless communication. So let us start with the video. To start up with this wireless communication, communication has been started with day one of this world. So people used to communicate, only the forms have been changed. So in ancient communication, people were using column of smokes to communicate, and later on, once the scripts have been invented, people have wrote some certain messages on the paper and they send the messages through pigeons. So this was the ancient form of communication, and also I would like to say that the first communication occurred in this world is wireless communication because these modes of communication does not require any wires to transmit the messages. So that's the reason I'm saying that first communication in this world was wireless communication. So now coming to the modern era of communication, that is communication in the sense wireless communication. That is, we are living in the wireless era of communication, where most of the devices and most of the communication have become wireless. I mean, at least the front end communication have become wireless. So look at this picture, which could depict the situation. That is, most of the technologies have become wireless over a period of time. To consider an example, look here in this picture that the wired communication have been changed to wireless communication. That is, Ethernet cable have been replaced with Wi-Fi router. Mobile phone charging, earlier it was wired charger, and nowadays mobile phones have come up with wireless charging, and moreover headsets as well. So these are the few examples which we can see that the development of wireless, that is area of wireless in the day-to-day usage. So here in this discussion, we will always consider mobile communication. That is, whatever we discuss will be correlated with mobile communication, that is mobile phones communication. So to get into the wireless communication, by definition, wireless communication is the transfer of information or power between two or more points that are not connected by an electrical conductor. Here, electrical conductor means wires. So we could able to transmit message or transfer a message or a signal from one point to another point without using any physical wires. Then we could say that it is wireless communication. I hope it is clear. Now let us see what are the key components that are involved in wireless communication to send the message from one point to another point. And here, for simplicity, I assume that the messages that we are going to transmit is already generated. That is, already it is pre-processed and now it is only ready to transmit. So based on this assumption, let us get into the components required for wireless communication. So let us see that. So I need a transmitter. Yes, transmitter is nothing but it sends the messages from one point to another point. That is, it is similar to a person standing in the front of your class and giving lectures. So he is a transmitter and he has some certain messages to transmit. And obviously, I have one person to receive the transmitted messages. I should have one person to receive the transmitted messages, and it's none other than receiver. And now we are going to transmit our messages or signals from transmitter to receiver. And here I need a medium which should communicate my messages. Since it is a wireless, we cannot go for hard wires, that is, which connects the transmitter and receiver. So obviously, since it is a wireless channel, air will be acting as a medium. So we are going to send the information or signals through air only. So this is the reason why we technically call it as wireless channels. I hope this is clear. So we will see much more about wireless channels and their characteristics in upcoming videos. But as of now, just assume that the medium that is used to transmit the message from transmitter to receiver here in wireless communication is wireless channel. So the signal that is very much suitable for sending over air is electromagnetic signal. And all the information will take the form of electromagnetic waves. So with this basic information, And these are all the very few components which are involved in wireless communication. I have already said that I have assumed that the message is already generated and it is ready to transmit. That is, all the pre-processing such as modulation, encoding, everything have been done and the message is ready to transmit. So now let us get into the basic terms which you can see often, which we can come across in WC, that is wireless communication. And we will try to define what is what, and we will also see each and every topic with an example. So the first thing is propagation, second thing is modes of propagation, third thing is multipath propagation, fading, shadowing, and path loss. So these are some basic terms which you commonly come across. So it is very much mandatory to understand what exactly these terms are. So once if you are very much clear with all these terms and principle behind these terms, it is very easy to understand the upcoming videos. So the next thing is propagation of radio waves. So first of all, we will start with what is propagation. So propagation is nothing but it is defined as the tendency of radio waves to travel from one point to another point or into various parts of the atmosphere. So yes, of course, the tendency of my radio signals to travel from one point to another point is what we call it as radio propagation. And now we must have a question that how my signal is getting propagated when we are having air as a medium. To answer this question, we have different modes of propagation which we can see in the next slide. So now coming to the modes of propagation, the radiated signal from the transmitter reaches the receiver in three different modes. Let us see one by one. The first mode of propagation is direct propagation. We can see that the signal is reaching the receiver directly without any reflection, diffraction or scattering. So it is what something we call it as also called as line of sight propagation or LOS propagation. So when you have a clear line of sight between transmitter as well as at the receiver, sorry, between the transmitter and receiver, then the signal will directly propagate to the receiver side. So this mode of propagation is called direct propagation. And the second mode of propagation is ground wave propagation. In ground wave propagation, what happens is when we have considerable distance between transmitter and receiver, that is when the distance between transmitter and receiver is increased, and due to the curvature nature of the earth or spherical nature of the earth, we could not able to get the LOS between transmitter and receiver, and in such cases we will be relying on ground wave propagation. And most of the EM signals, that are electromagnetic signals, will be reflected back when they hit on the ground, since ground is a dielectric medium. And we will see detail of this ground wave propagation or two-ray propagation in the upcoming videos. As of now, just remember that this is one among the propagation mechanisms. And the next type of propagation is skywave propagation. And you can see here these dotted lines represents the ionosphere layer of the atmosphere. So this ionosphere layer, as you have already studied in your schoolings, this is completely filled with charged particles. And since our signal is an electromagnetic wave, it is going to get reflected back. I mean, when it hits on this ionosphere layer, it will be reflected back to the receiver by the charged particles present in the ionosphere layer. So this reflection will direct our signal again back to the receiver, as I said earlier. And of course, this is not a pointed communication, but it will randomly turns down the propagation to the earth. So these are all the three basic propagations of my radio waves. So now let us see a very important topic called multipath propagation. Coming to multipath propagation, let us understand with an example. Now let us set an environment. In environment we have transmitter and we have receiver. So if there are no obstacles present in between transmitter and receiver, that is there will be no reflection, diffraction or scattering, means what will happen? The signal from the transmitter will be directly reaching the receiver. So this type of propagation is called direct propagation, or otherwise it is called as LOS propagation or line of sight propagation. But in real time, it is not possible. There will be some obstacles between transmitter or receiver. Those obstacles may be either buildings or cars or lampposts. In such case, what will happen? The signals will be reflecting on those obstacles and then it will reach the receiver. See, it will be reaching the receiver like this. So there are many signals traveling from transmitter to receiver due to the obstacles present in between. So this is called as multipath propagation. That is, the receiver is receiving signals from various paths. So this is what called as multipath propagation. I hope this is clear. So now let us see what are the effects of multipath propagation. There are two effects. One is constructive, another one is destructive. Coming to constructive, can you see that we have got two signals. One, this is signal one, and this is signal two. So both the signals are in phase to each other. So ideal receiver, what it will do means it will add whatever signals it is receiving. The receiver will add those signals and gives the output. So both the signals are in phase signals. So if the in phase signals are added up together, the total signal will be appearing like this. The other thing is destructive. Coming to destructive, we have out of phase signals. That is, this is signal 1 and this is signal 2. These two signals are in out of phase. If these two signals are added up, why it is getting added? Because ideal receiver will add the signals whatever it is receiving. So if these two out of phase signals are added, it will not give any signal. So this is what called as constructive. So constructive will have in-phase signals and destructive will have out-of-phase signals. So this is what about the effects of multipath propagation. I hope this is clear. Thank you all.